Good. I usually like to open up my screen but sometimes when you open it up, it gets a little challenging with the connection. I will try to open it up, right? I'm gonna try control, no, F5. All right, good. If you cannot see or you're struggling to hear me at any time, please don't put a chat, because you could put it in the chat, yes, but I'm likely to hear you if you say so. Better if you respond faster if I hear somebody say, Miss, I'm not hearing, or something like that. Right? Or if I start to get, you know what happens sometimes, right? I'm not full or anything like that. Somebody just put your microphone on and just say, Miss, we're not hearing, or something. All right. Could you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, Miss.
My screen?
Yes, Miss.
All right, good. Let's go. All right. I think I'm gonna leave this activity for last, for a little later. All right, so here we're gonna start. A summary is a synopsis of text. Either the text could be written text, audio, or video, and it's done in your own words. So let me clarify. Number one, when we talk about text, it doesn't, generally when we talk about text, we mean something that is written, right? A written piece from a textbook or from the internet or from a paper or from a book. So we assume that text, that's what it means. And initially that's what it meant. But now in this age where we have different kinds of text, especially because we use the computer and other technologies, text can be a video or audio in this context, right? So you can summarize a written piece, an audio, or a video, right? So for example, when you have these movie reviews, the first thing they have to do is actually summarize it. So this movie, this is what it is about. And you say it in a sentence or two. All right, good. Then it says it is an important and advanced academic skill, and it should not be more than 1/5 of the original text. Now, let me explain why. I was mentioning earlier that with summarizing and even paraphrasing, right? It's not just about that. Like you at CXC level, many of you know you have this in your exam, right? You have to do a summary. And we have teachers especially, and I like to always speak to teachers because I have been a teacher for more than 2 decades, right? And I like to speak to teachers specifically because I know about the errors that we make. I've come a far way, I have learned a lot, and I have grown, right? So a lot of times we teach by rote and we say, this is how you should do it. So this is how you summarize. You say, well, okay, you need to do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, and we just focus on that. And we focus less on why we need the skill, right? And if we understand why you need the skill, then you will be able to grasp what I am saying now and why it's important and why this is so critical for now. This is not as simple as I just read a text and summarize it or understand what it means and say it in a sentence. Yes, that's what it is, but why do I need to know how to do that? Why is it that I need to know how to summarize something? All right. Now, summary is something that we use every day of our lives, almost every moment of the day. For example, another colleague will ask you, what did Miss teach today? Or what we do today? I couldn't come, what we do today? And what you will say, you say, oh, we talk about summary. And she said, so you may say 1 sentence or 2 sentences, then you stop. You're not going to say, she come to the class and we start at 2:15. We had 130 people. And you understand what I'm saying? You're not going to give all those details. You're going to just say, we did summary. Or gave us a background about the course and the class, and then we did the summary. You're not going to say every single little fine detail or when I shared my screen or if I didn't or if I recorded it or not. All right. No, so every single moment of the day almost we use summary. Like you would say today is a hard day, buddy. Like them children give me a hard time. Or you're just gonna summarize what happened today or whatever every moment of the day almost we use this skill. But then now in academic, when we doing academic work or academic writing especially, we also use this skill. So when we read the writers, some a work from another source, we need to say, okay, this is what this writer is saying. And this will help to support my argument. And so I need this information and I need to know how to summarize it, to add it to my work. Or you may summarize a story or activity or some event, right, in order to use it. And so that's why it's important. All right. The next thing is that why it's also important is that for academic work, you do critical reading and you do critical writing, like we said last semester. But you can't do any of that unless you're able to comprehend and summarize. Right? You have to be able to say, this is what this text is saying in a short words and in your own words. That's the next part of it. It must be in your own words because you could summarize it by taking an excerpt from the text and say, okay, this is what it's saying. This is the sentence expresses it. And that's fine. That's just knowledge. That's just being able to identify it. But if you could read it on your own and interpret it and understand it on your own and then rewrite it in or articulate it in your own words, then you are a more advanced student. All right. And a lot of the challenges that you were having last semester, and you probably still have in terms of your writing and incorporating the sources, and you see how many quotations you have to put. And then your similarity index goes to 20% or 30%. It's because you're not using the skill, or you may not have the skill, or you just don't, because it's harder to actually take the quotation and read it and then write it in your own words or summarize it. That's why I'm saying it's more advanced skill and it's also an important skill. All right. So I think I could move off from here. Now, what is included in a summary? The summary includes, number one, the thesis idea. By now you know what the thesis idea is, right? The thesis idea is really the main idea, right? Thesis is just a big word for what is it I am talking about, or what is it this passage is saying. So when we say thesis idea, that's the main idea. If it's a longer text, you'll have the thesis idea, and then you have the idea, the other main ideas that shelter under that one thesis idea, which is the general idea. And you have it in your own words. And this is very, very important because some students, you give them the text to summarize and then they could identify the main ideas, but they don't put it in their own words. You still see them using the words that the writer uses or from the text that they read or consumed. All right. So this is important. It must have a main idea, the main idea and your own words, nothing else. This is the other thing. Your summary shouldn't have examples or statistical information, or unless statistics is part of the main idea, right? It should have just that main idea, and it must be in your own words. That's it. So all of the supporting information that you'll find in the paragraph, you eliminate that. I think that I want to do a session on paragraph writing, even though it's not part of the course outline, because I think that there are students who are struggling with writing paragraphs and saying, okay, this is what a paragraph should have. By the way, I did this in the presentation, one of my presentations that is online though. All right, so but you should be able to say, okay, this is what a paragraph is. And so there are students who are struggling with paragraph writing and sentence construction as well. All right, so if I have the chance, if I see an opening or a chance that I could share some information with you more, I will do that. All right, but please, if you have questions pertaining to writing and just maybe comments that I made and so on, you could ask me during one of our tutorial sessions. Don't wait until last minute, then I can't answer it then, or it's too, or you don't have the time and all of that, right? You could ask. That's the purpose of the tutorials. What is excluded from the summary? I said it before. The supporting information, any examples or explanations or evidence, you eliminate that, right? And you eliminate your opinions. The summary writing is not a place for you to say, this is what I think. By the way, I'm not saying that this is not important. I'm not saying that your opinions are not important. When you're writing your essays or you're writing an argument or you're criticizing another source or another argument, then this is the place for your opinions. You might say, okay, this is what I think. But then when you do that, you say, this is what I think, you need to say, this is why, or provide evidence to support your opinion. But in the case of summary writing, you do not need your opinion. You don't want to know what you think about the text or what you think the writer should do, or you don't add. I find that a lot of students add to it, or in their efforts to explain it, they try to add information. No, you cannot do that in a summary. All you need to do is say what the writer said. Even if you think the writer is wrong, that doesn't matter. We're just looking at what is said or what is expressed in that text. All right? So in your summary, you eliminate all examples, explanations, and evidence. You eliminate your opinions. You also eliminate your interpretation or your analysis or judgment of the text. All right, does anybody have any questions right now at this particular point? Everybody good?
So
all right.
far.
Okay, good. Nice. All right, so what skills are tested? You'll find that this overlaps as well, right? So you have comprehension skills are tested. For in summary writing, your ability to read a text and understand it. That's what it simply means. And how will you know that you could read and understand it? But you will be able to identify the main ideas and you'll be able to write it in your own words. So this is comprehension. That's a skill that it's testing. All right. And by the way, you'll see that throughout your academic work, throughout your academic life, or whether you're doing assignments or whatever, you will find that you always need a skill. You can't read a science text without applying that skill or using that skill, because you have to read it and understand it and identify the main information and be able to say this is what it means. All right, so comprehension. The next skill that is tested in when we're doing summary writing is your ability to synthesize that from the short summary that you wrote into another text if you need to. So for example, you're writing an essay, you did a summary, then it's not just summarizing it, but how are you adding this information to your ideas? How are you showing the connection, right, with your ideas? Right, so that's synthesizing. You remember for you teachers, you should know this. Most of you or all of you went to CPC, right? So you know about Bloom's taxonomy, and you know the skills that are tested in that taxonomy, right? Now, and you know that there are lower order skills and there are higher order skills, right? We know comprehension is like the second one. And we know synthesis is one of the higher order skills. All right. And then it tests your ability to write as well. How well can you synthesize? That's part of writing. How well are you able to write, add this information into, or synthesize it and write it into what you are writing, what you're articulating? And also when I say grammatical, it means your ability to, in this case, use English. And you know, we started off last semester talking about language awareness and so on, and the importance of Creole language and the value of it, and that it's not bad language. It's not inferior. It's not worse than English. English is not better than Creole and stuff like that, right? We did all of that. What am I saying? My phone rang and so I just got distracted. Yes. So we're saying the Creole is valuable and all of these sorts of things, but we're talking about, but in this particular course, we're doing English. You know, some you might find, for those of you who weren't with me before, that maybe some people might emphasize the Creole and the value of the Creole and push it. But remember, this is an English course that we are doing. So even though what we were really trying to do when we did linguistic awareness was to try to make you aware of that the Creole exists and it's valuable, but and try to make you aware that you might be struggling with learning in English because Creole is your first language. Creole is my first language too, right? But the point is so that you could be aware of it and you can try to know the difference, all right? So those are the skills that are being tested when we do when you do some rewriting. All right, so let's
Excuse me,
look.
excuse
Yes.
me, miss. Excuse me, miss. Alexis Robinson here. Is it that you're saying to us that we are not, I don't want to use it, but so it's not okay for us to include Creoles in our in this, okay, in this 1205 course may require us writing or essays whatsoever. It's not okay for us to include Creoles. Is that
It's not okay.
I just
No,
want to
I
get
didn't
that.
say that. I didn't say that. Well, okay. So, you know, when you read some novels, so those of you actually read, you know that sometimes you see the novelist is writing in English or using English, but then there's a switch. There's a time when you can use a Creole if becomes necessary. There are times that you might want to tell a story or you might want to give direct speech. That's different. You can use Creole. So it's a language. It's a valuable language, right? It's okay for you to use Creole, but remember that the focus of the course is me or your lectures right now trying to facilitate your improvement in English language, right? So that's the focus of the course, for you to write basic English, all right? So please give me a few seconds. I'm supposed to have a meeting now, and so Mr. McGowan. All right, so I want you to give me 5 minutes because Mr. Crichton, our head of department, is trying to get to talk to me concerning a course that I should be teaching, and this is very important. It's extremely important. So I'm going to stop here for 5 minutes, and I'm going to come back to you. 5 minutes. I hope 5 minutes. Uh, all right. Mhm. I did tell Mr. Crichton that I can't make this meeting, but the course doesn't have a lecture at this particular time. Okay, this is it. What a pause.
Karen is not here. I haven't gotten on to us. All right, let me
Stop. All right. See, it's kind of lagging. Trying to shift it back. All right, yes. So yes, you read the text and then you identify the thesis idea. And like I said, sometimes it's you might see a sentence there that just, you could say this is the thesis idea, or this is the main idea. But sometimes you may not always find that. You may find that the thesis idea is expressed in various parts of the passage, right? But so the point is that you have to actually read it and understand it, right? To be able to identify the thesis idea. The next thing is to identify other main ideas. So even though you have the thesis idea, you have other ideas that are main ideas or sub ideas or secondary ideas that explain that one general main idea, right? So most likely if you go from paragraph to paragraph, you're going to find parts of those ideas or parts of the general idea, right? And so those are the ideas that you are selecting. And then write them down in your own words. And of course, leave out the supporting details. When you've done that now, you need to synthesize the information into a coherent paragraph. Well, if you need a paragraph, because sometimes if I give you a passage that has 5 paragraphs, maybe your summary might be 1 paragraph. And it could be possibly 1 paragraph with just 3 sentences, or it might be 1 paragraph with 4 to 8 sentences, it depends. All right, but the bottom line is that you have to synthesize the ideas, the main ideas that you've identified into one coherent piece or a paragraph. All right, and then of course you need to revise and edit. In the case of when you need to synthesize the information that you summarize in another essay, then you try to be more succinct or concise and precise so that you could work it well and fit it smoothly into whatever you are writing. All right. So what is it about the summary? The summary is just that you need the main ideas. That's all. That's as simple as we can put it. Identify the main ideas and articulate it in your own words. All right. This is a YouTube video on summary writing, which tells you the similar steps that I mentioned earlier. Let me see if it will play. I'm not sure how to do it, but I'll try. I think you have to share audio as well, but I'm not sure. Must tell me if you're hearing it.
Hi, this is Maritez. In this video, I will teach you how to write an
Yes, miss.
Yes,
Good.
miss.
Good.
effective academic summary paragraph. Remember that a summary needs to be clear to someone who has not seen the original text. Include all of the author's main points and leave out the minor details, including dates, numbers, statistics, and figures. A good summary is brief and concise. It's important that you paraphrase the author's main points. That means you use your own words, phrases, and sentence structure. There should not be any quoting and copying. If you are copying, then you are not paraphrasing. You want to avoid plagiarism. Effective summaries are objective, so don't add your opinion or reaction. Save that for the response essay. Avoid changing the meaning of the original. Here are the 5 steps to writing a summary. First, read the original text several times until you fully understand it. Take notes and look up any words you don't know in a dictionary. Step 2, decide what the author's most important points are. Step 3 is to write your summary from your notes instead of the original text to avoid plagiarism. Step 4, check your summary against the original to make sure that you have used different words but have not changed the meaning. Also make sure that you included all of the author's main points. The last step is to revise and edit your summary for errors in grammar, clarity, capitalization, and spelling.
You're not hearing it? All right, I'm not sure why.
Miss, I was still hearing.
I was still hearing too.
Miss,
I
I'm
think it
hearing
was
it.
me.
I was hearing too.
I'm hearing Miss.
Oh, good. All right.
Maybe
Just-
support with internet.
all right.
A summary paragraph should follow good paragraph structure. The topic sentence should state the source information, including the author, with both first and last name, the title, and the genre, as well as the author's main idea or thesis. The supporting sentences should state the author's main points, following the same order. Lastly, the concluding sentence should give the author's conclusion. When writing your summary, use reporting verbs to introduce the author's points. You can refer to the author by their last name, the author, or he or she, only if you know. Use transitional words and phrases to show how ideas are connected, and make sure you use them with correct grammar. Consider this example. The author argues that potty training a child is one of the hardest things to do. However, once your child learns how, you can say goodbye to diapers. The reporting verb used here is argues, and the transitional word is however. Please refer to the handy chart with more example sentences that I have provided on Moodle.
All right. All right, so let me stop sharing for a while. And I'm going to give you this for the activity for this week. Or we could do this one now. We're going to do this one now, and then we're going to get different activity. Right? All right, let's do this one now, right? This one is very simple and fun. Right, so I want you to identify the main idea of this paragraph. I will read it, so we could read it together, right? So it says, who would win in a fight, a lion or a tiger? Well, if size has anything to do with the matter, the tiger would win. That's because tigers are the largest of all cat species. They grow up to 11 feet long and weigh as much as 670 pounds. This makes tigers the third largest land carnivore. The only larger land carnivores are polar bears and brown bears. Tigers are not only large, they are also fast. They can sprint as fast as 40 miles per hour for short distances and leap as far as 30 feet horizontally. This makes for an extremely dangerous pounce. You might not think that such large, fast, and ferocious creatures need help to survive, but they do. The tiger is an endangered species. So please tell me, what is the main idea of this paragraph? Just, you can take a moment and read it. I'm going to give you 3 minutes, and then we're going to talk about what the main idea is. Good. Anybody wants to say, talk about it now? You could raise your hand. So if you want to say what the main idea is, raise your hand so that I could see. And
Okay, Miss, can I go?
Okay,
I didn't
go
raise my hand. Oh, Lord, sorry.
go ahead, Abiola. Is it Abiola?
Yeah, it's Alexis, but Fabiola too.
Oh,
But
okay.
Alexis. All right, so I was wavering between the two. If it's who would win a fight, or if the tiger is an endangered species. So I came up with that the tiger is a rare animal that possesses exceptional features, and therefore we should protect them. We should protect it.
Okay. I see Taryn and I see Veronica. Let's hear from Veronica first. I think Veronica is new, right? I don't think I've heard the name, or is a different name you're using. Veronica?
No, miss.
We getting a delayed sound is delayed and muffled.
Good afternoon, miss. I'm
Not hearing you.
new student.
Veronica? We're not hearing you at all. I'm not sure. You want to try leaving and rejoining because we're not hearing you properly at all. I got. You still there? Yeah, we can't hear. I noticed that your microphone is moving, but I'm not hearing at all. So let's go to Taryn. And Veronica, I suggest that you leave the room and then come back in. And it might become better. So let's hear from Taryn, and then I see Shem. So Taryn first and then Shem.
Miss, I would say that despite the tiger being one of the largest land carnivores, they are still considered endangered.
Okay. All right, thank you. And Shem.
Yes, Miss, I would say due to a tiger's large size and extraordinary skill set, it is most likely to defeat lion in battle.
Okay. All right. All right, let's hear from Veronica. I see she's back.
Good afternoon, miss. And yes, I am a new student.
Okay.
Oh, miss.
We could hear you a little better, but sometimes it's still going. So talk slowly.
Okay, I read the paragraph and I was thinking that the main idea in that paragraph is that despite the tiger is very stronger and larger and can move faster and all of that, it still need help to survive. So that is what I think the main idea is, that despite all of that, the animals still need help.
All right. All right,
to
thank you very
survive.
much. So let's discuss it now and let me see who's right and who is not. All right, so I think that this was a really fun paragraph because you could get carried away very easily. So if you started reading an essay, especially people who like adventure and who like to watch National Geographic and nature, and you enjoy seeing and hearing about these exotic animals or wildlife, right? So you read, so you began reading this. This is an essay, by the way, but I just this is just the I think this was the first paragraph that I took out. So you read, who would win a fight, a lion or a tiger? And your senses, become aroused because you're like, okay, this sounds interesting. And so in your mind, I think most naturally you're going to look to see what the passage says about who will win, right? So you're looking for that information. So you continue. It says, well, if size has anything to do with the matter, the tiger would win. And so some people may conclude already that this is the main idea because it asks the question and then it answers it, right? So most naturally, you're thinking that that's what you want to know. And then it continues. So that's because tigers are largest of all cat species. So you could say, okay, this is supporting information. The tiger would win. You would assume that that's the main idea, right? And then it goes on to explain or provide supporting information for why it would win. Because it's the largest of all cat species, and because they grow up to 11 feet long and weigh as much as 670 pounds. And that this makes the tiger the third largest land carnivore. And so you have all of these details, right? Supporting information or evidence, right? And then the only larger land carnivores are polar bears and brown bears. And tigers are not only large, they're also fast. So all of this will add to why the tiger would win, right? Because that's what you think is the main idea, right? They can sprint as fast as 40 miles per hour for short distances and leap as far as 30 feet horizontally. Wow, amazing, right? Interesting, right? And you're impressed, right? And so this makes for an extremely dangerous pounce. And so you might not think that such large, fast, and ferocious creatures need help to survive, but they do. And so the point comes down to that this is the main idea, that the tiger is an endangered species. So you could just take that sentence alone and say that that's the main idea. So despite that it is ferocious and large and all of these things, it needs help to survive. It's an endangered species. So that's the main idea. But I like this paragraph too, because apart from the beauty and apart from the facts that are presented and the interest that it creates and so on, it helps me to explain the point that I always make, and I have said this to students last semester, that most times a lot of lecturers too maybe not in our group, because we tend to be very cautious with giving you a lot of information that is just routine and rote, and you just have to buy everything that somebody says, or in this kind of information that, okay, this is what you should do. This kind of conventional information that says that your main idea must always be the first sentence in the paragraph. And so this is one of the reasons why we caution you against it, because everybody has a different writing style. You have various styles of writing, various purposes for writing, and people will do good writers. Any good writer, somebody who's skilled at writing, can present something skillfully in the way he or she wants to, and it doesn't have to be conventional. And so you see, the main idea is not the first sentence and it's the last sentence, right? So that's the point I am making. So don't always go into this thing looking at, oh, the topic sentence. And this is the kind of thing, by the way, you all are teachers. So very often this is what you teach the children, right? So don't go looking for the topic sentence at the beginning of the paragraph. Very often it is, yes. And especially maybe in children's work, you might find that indeed the topic sentence or the main idea of the paragraph is the beginning. But I'd rather you not say that as a rule, because it could be different. And the next thing is that you have to train yourself and train your students to look to understand something, or to test the comprehension skills more than looking for routine ways of doing things. And the next thing that you noticed that we did last semester was shut down a lot of the questions that you asked about. Miss, how do you go about writing a thesis idea? Or you really want to hear the steps And we try to deviate from providing steps because it is not always, the steps are not always what you need to follow in all cases to get to the destination that you are going. All right. Any questions so far on that? All right. Let's do one more before we go. Let me see. All right, so basically what you had to do was select a summary here. And I'm not gonna do that now. I don't want to confuse you too much now. So, okay, now what we will do is stop there and I'll give you the activity on the course page this evening. All right, this word is spelled incorrectly. Yeah, this evening I'm gonna start setting up the page. I am gonna post the activity for this week. So what we will do is, that's your work for the rest of this week, right? I'll stop the recording.